Well, good morning, everybody. This is Rockin' Spirit coming to you live, aka Jen. And it is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. It's a new day in the Lord. Old things are passed away, and there is new opportunity today. And I was thinking about different things that have come upon me this week. And sometimes they're trying and troubling, and it takes a lot of strength to step away from them and to go against the flow of remaining in the cesspool of the past. And a lot of times the past is revisited, not even necessarily by our own doing, but because of those who are around us. And God says to exchange mourning for joy and to step into what He has for you this day. That there is no dwelling in the past because the past is already spent. The past can't be revisited and made different. And we only have this day and any day the Lord would afford us moving forward to make the change and to make the break and to take on the assignment that He's given us. And when we keep ourselves dwelling in the past, keeping that alive and keeping our souls tied to it, we can't fully be present for what He wants to do in our lives today. And this would be the case in a death in somebody's life, a broken relationship, a divorce, an old job, anything that's of the past. When we were at that place of cutting that tie, that is where our learning lesson took place. And that would be the time maybe to revisit those things that had just happened and think about them, and then to press on into the future, learning from that mistake and not making it again. Wisdom would have you make the necessary changes to seek God and His Word and hold on to His promises and to move forward into the things that He calls you into. But all too often, people stay trapped for days, weeks, months, years, and decades in the past, keeping the soul tied to those former things. And those former things, when they're gone, most of the time it wasn't a good situation. That's why they ended. God moved us on into a new beginning. So what happens when we hold on to the past and we stay focused and revisiting on those things? Well, number one, they're time robbers, and they're joy robbers and peace robbers. And there's hurt and strife and things in the past that shouldn't be in your present and in your future, because as I said, the Lord is molding and shaping us and taking us beyond those things. And people can become paralyzed, and they also can keep those things alive and resurrect the things that God has moved you beyond by keeping the thoughts, discussion, conversation, and memory of those past failures in relationships and part of your daily life moving forward. And certainly this would be the case for somebody who has entered into a new marriage. God has blessed them and graced them with the ability to have love again. So what happens when we have love gifted to us by God for today and for our future, and we stay in conversation and thought and memory of our past failure, our past fears and worries, and the trouble from the past? Would that be fair to your new relationship? Would that bring life to that new relationship? If some bitterness and hurt keeps getting resurfaced, it's like picking a scab and letting the wound come back up, and the failures, and then you get that animosity in your heart, and that bitterness and anger rises back up. of how you were wronged in your past and how you screwed up and made a mess of things. But that's not being lived today. So why would you want to bring that into today? Could it perhaps start shaping your today if you bring those failures in, and perhaps the bitterness from the past, and that gets heaped upon your new relationship, and now your relationship is wading through this current of failure and being compared then to the past, because you're keeping the memory of the past alive, and then you compare your future to it and your present, and then you just get bitter and angry and frustrated and discouraged, and there's just no reason to bring former things into the new things. And this is where it reminds me of situations that are not good for us, that were not good for us, that we did not walk through gracefully in the past, but yet we'll look back and we'll have a merry heart about it. In a way, what I'm saying is we long for the former things and say, wow, today, you know what, I'm not happy about today. I'm not thankful for God for today, and I'm going to sit and dwell on a time and a relationship that was better than today, and woulda, coulda, shoulda. I wish I had never done that. I wish I had never left that. I wish I had not screwed up back then. So what you are doing is denying the sacred thing that the Lord is doing in your life today. You're discounting it. You're putting it down. And you're elevating something that was terrible and died from your past. And you're comparing your beautiful today and your future in relationship to it. And you know what? Then you're living a double life. You are not giving all of your heart, all of your thought, and all of your mind to what is going on today. In essence, you could very well be cheating on that relationship that is in your life today by giving your thoughts and emotions and feelings and passions and joys to something that is passed away. That would not be fair to God and what He is doing today. And that would be like Sarah looking back at Sodom and Gomorrah when Lot was commanded to take his family from that place, a place where there was evil, death, chaos, sin, things that were not good going on, and He was removing them out of it. And they were to be pressing on to what God was calling them into and being thankful for that. And they were looking back with longing, contemplating the thought that they were not going to have that anymore. And it paralyzed Sarah from being obedient to God and being thankful and grateful for Him saving them from that and giving them a new life. And you know what? God doesn't stand for that. And you know what He did? She turned back with longing for the former things and regretting the moving forward and what she was going to enter into. And He turned her into a pillar of salt because of her disobedience and her heart being rejecting of what God had wanted to lay before them. And often that happens in our life when we keep looking back. It paralyzes us. It hardens us from seeing the beautiful thing that God has for you and where He's taking you and drawing you. And He wants you to be committed, wholeheartedly, completely available, wiped away and erased of the former things, and not to look back. Not to look back to the place where things were evil and wrong and messed up, and to just move on. And so what happens when you're in family dynamics where people continue to look back, discounting what God is doing right now, instead of coming up and rallying with you for your new relationship and new beginning, and and they keep bringing back the past, or one's mind goes back to those places and contemplates, perhaps gets hurt, perhaps gets angry and frustrated, perhaps longs for that past back instead of where they're at today. There's just no good thing that comes from it. You can't talk about those former things lightly. It's not table conversation. It's not dinner conversation. There's no good thing. It does not serve. It does not serve the relationship that's being built today with you and God and you and whatever He has set before you. So with that, I pray that you can see your new beginning from the time you open your eyes this day, and that you walk in letting God show you new things, discovering what He has for you, being excited and blessed by it, and not to be clouded and hindered about the former things that gives you wounds and hurts, brings up anger and strife. It keeps you from seeing what God is doing today because you're being caught up in yesterday. So if you're doing that, or there's people in your life that's doing that, it would not be out of line to say, you know what, today is the day the Lord has afforded to me, and old things are passed away. Behold, there is a new thing before me. And I'm going to entreat the Lord and entreat myself in discovering and being thankful and grateful for all the opportunities and the lessons and the love that I have to share and the service I have to give. And there's no life in former things, because former things no longer exist and will never exist again because they're gone. They were for that time and season, never to be gained again. God's word says we cannot go back. We can't go back to a former relationship. We can't undo and fix what was already done. We can just move past that and let it have been for that time in my life that shaped me never to be what I was, but to allow me to be something new that God is forming in me as a result of the tragedy. So with that, God bless and make it a great day.